The divorce court was silent except for the rhythmic click of the judge's pen against her desk. My husband Marcus sat across from me, his expensive suit perfectly pressed, his lawyer whispering confidently in his ear. He looked at me with that familiar expression of mild annoyance mixed with pity, the same look he'd given me for the past 3 years, whenever I questioned his late nights or weekend business trips. "Mrs. Chen," the judge said, adjusting her glasses. "I understand you're contesting the proposed asset division?" "Yes, Your Honor." My voice was steady, calm. I placed my phone on the table in front of me. "Before we proceed, there's something the court needs to see." Marcus's lawyer stood immediately. "Your Honor, we've already submitted all relevant financial documentation. This is a delay tactic." "Your Honor," I said, my eyes never leaving Marcus's face. "My husband has been living a double life. He has a second wife and 2 children in Portland. He's been systematically draining our marital assets to support them for the past 4 years." The courtroom erupted. Marcus went white as a sheet. That's insane," he stammered, half rising from his seat. "Your Honor, my wife has been under tremendous stress. She's not well. This is a fantasy." I smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. "Then let me show you the fantasy, Marcus." I unlocked my phone and connected it to the courtroom's display screen. "Let me show everyone the family photos, the mortgage payments for the house in Portland, the private school tuition for Sophia and Ethan, and my personal favorite, the wedding album from your second ceremony." The screen filled with images. Marcus in a tuxedo, his arm around a blonde woman in a white dress. 2 children, a girl about 7 and a boy about 5, calling him Daddy in home videos. Bank statements showing $8,000 monthly transfers. A lease agreement for a 4-bedroom house. Everything. The judge leaned forward, her expression hardening. Marcus collapsed back into his chair. His lawyer was frantically flipping through papers, clearly blindsided. "How did you?" Marcus whispered, his voice cracking. "Your phone unlocked with my face," I said simply. "You never changed the facial recognition settings after we got married. Remember when you set it up and joked that we looked so similar the phone couldn't tell us apart? Funny how that worked out. Let me tell you how I got here. Let me tell you the story of how I discovered my husband's secret family and how I made sure he paid for every single lie. 3 years ago, I thought I had everything. Marcus Chen was the perfect husband, or so I believed. We met at a technology conference in San Francisco, where I was presenting my company's new software platform. He was charming, ambitious, a senior product manager at a prestigious tech firm. He pursued me with flowers, thoughtful dates, and long conversations about our shared dreams. We married within a year. I was 32. He was 35. My parents flew in from Taiwan for the ceremony. His parents, he said, had passed away years ago in a car accident. He had no siblings, no extended family. "You're my family now," he told me on our wedding night, and I believed him. I was the VP of engineering at a growing startup. Marcus supported my career, or at least he seemed to. He encouraged me to work late, to travel for conferences, to focus on the upcoming IPO that would make us both wealthy. "Your success is our success," he'd say, kissing my forehead before I left for another business trip. Before I continue, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I love hearing from you. And if this story resonates with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. We lived in a beautiful condo in downtown Seattle. Marcus worked from home 3 days a week, which he said gave him flexibility. On weekends, he often had client meetings or team-building events that took him out of town. I never questioned it. He was ambitious, dedicated to his career. Wasn't that what I loved about him? The red flags were there, scattered like breadcrumbs I was too blind to see. He never wanted me to meet his colleagues. "Tech people are boring," he'd say. "I don't want to mix my work and home life." He had 2 phones, one personal, one for work. The work phone was always locked, always with him, even in the shower. He refused to post photos of us on social media. "I value our privacy," he explained. "The internet is forever." He traveled frequently, Portland twice a month for regional meetings, sometimes for a full week. Our finances were separate. "It's healthier," he insisted. "We're both successful. We don't need to pool everything." I ignored every single warning sign because I was in love, because I trusted him, because I never imagined that the man who held me at night, who made me breakfast on Sundays, who talked about buying a house and starting a family, was already living that life with someone else. My best friend Diane was the only one who ever questioned him. "Something's off about Marcus," she said once over drinks. "He's too perfect, too accommodating. And why does he never want to hang out with your friends?" "He's introverted," I defended him. "He works hard, he's tired." Diane had backed off, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. If only I'd listened to her then. The first crack appeared 6 months ago. I was working late at the office when I realized I'd left my laptop charger at home. I drove back to our condo around 9 p.m. Marcus's car was in the garage, but when I walked in, the lights were off. I heard his voice coming from the bedroom. "I love you too, baby. Daddy will be home soon. Be good for Mommy, okay?" I stood frozen in the hallway. Baby? Mommy? When I pushed open the door, Marcus was sitting on our bed, his phone pressed to his ear. When he saw me, his face flickered with something. Panic? Before smoothing into a smile. "Hey, honey, didn't expect you back so soon." "Who were you talking to?" My voice sounded strange, distant. "My nephew," he said easily. "My cousin's kid. They're going through a rough patch. I'm trying to be there for them." "You told me you didn't have any family." "No immediate family," he corrected. "But I have some distant cousins on my mom's side. I should have mentioned them. Sorry, babe. It's not a big part of my life." I wanted to believe him. So I did. The real unraveling began 3 weeks ago. Marcus was in the shower, and his personal phone was charging on the kitchen counter. It buzzed with a notification. I glanced at it out of habit and froze. The lock screen showed a text preview. "Sophia lost another tooth. She wants to FaceTime Daddy before bed. Love you, Sophia, Daddy. Love you." My hand started shaking. This wasn't a nephew. This was something else entirely. I picked up the phone, my heart hammering. I held it up to my face, just as an experiment, remembering Marcus's joke from years ago about how his phone couldn't tell us apart because we both had similar facial structures. Asian features, he'd said, confusing the biometric sensors. The phone unlocked. It actually unlocked. I stood there, staring at his home screen, my entire world tilting. I had access to everything, every text, every photo, every secret. My first instinct was to scream, to confront him immediately. But something stopped me. A cold, logical voice in my head said, "Look first. Know everything before you react. Evidence first, emotion later." I heard the shower turn off. I quickly locked the phone and placed it back on the counter, grabbing my own phone instead. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely hold it. Marcus emerged a few minutes later, towel around his waist, hair wet. "Hey, want to order Thai food tonight?" I looked at him, this man I'd shared a bed with for 3 years, and realized I didn't know him at all. "Sure," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "That sounds great." That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay next to Marcus, listening to him breathe, planning my next move. I needed to get back into that phone. I needed to see everything. My opportunity came 2 days later. Marcus left for a client dinner at 6 p.m., leaving his personal phone charging in the bedroom. He'd taken only his work phone. I had perhaps 2 hours. I grabbed his phone, held it to my face, and watched it unlock. Then I sat on our bed and began documenting everything. The first thing I opened was his messages. There, at the top of his conversation list, was a contact named L. I clicked on it. The messages went back 4 years. L. "Can't wait to see you this weekend. The kids miss their daddy. Marcus. Miss you too. Tell Sophia and Ethan I'm bringing presents. L. You spoil them. But we love you for it. Drive safe. 4 years. He'd been doing this for 4 years. I scrolled through months, years of messages, birthday parties, school events, family dinners, hospital visits when the kids were sick. Every mundane domestic detail of a completely separate life. I opened his photos, an entire hidden album labeled Portland. Marcus pushing a little girl on a swing. Marcus helping a small boy learn to ride a bike. Marcus kissing a blonde woman, not me, in front of a Christmas tree. A family photo. Marcus, the woman, 2 children, all wearing matching pajamas. My vision blurred. I realized I was crying, silent tears streaming down my face. But I didn't stop looking. I couldn't. I found the mortgage statements, a house in Portland bought 4 years ago. Monthly payment, $3,200 coming from an account I didn't know existed. I found the wedding photos. Marcus in a tuxedo, the blonde woman in a wedding dress, both of them laughing. The date, 7 months after our wedding. He'd married her while married to me. I found school enrollment forms. Father, Marcus Chen. Mother, Lauren Chen. Lauren, that was her name. I found bank statements showing regular transfers, $8,000 every month to an account in Lauren's name. I found insurance documents. Marcus had taken out a life insurance policy listing Lauren and the children as beneficiaries. Not me. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Dinner running late. Don't wait up. I looked at the time. I'd been sitting there for 90 minutes, completely immobilized by the evidence of my husband's betrayal. I needed to move. I needed to save everything. I began taking screenshots, my fingers moving mechanically, messages, photos, documents, bank statements, every single piece of evidence. I texted them to myself from his phone, then deleted the sent messages. I uploaded everything to a secure cloud drive. I photographed his driver's license, his credit cards, every document in his wallet. By the time I heard his key in the lock 3 hours later, I had compiled a complete dossier of Marcus Chen's secret life. I was sitting on the couch, watching TV, when he came in. "Hey, babe," he said, loosening his tie. "Sorry, I'm so late. Client dinner turned into drinks." "No problem," I said, my voice eerily calm. "How was it?" "Exhausting. I'm beat." He kissed the top of my head. "I'm going to grab a shower and crash." I watched him walk away, carrying his phone. Tomorrow, I thought. Tomorrow I would go to war, but first I needed a lawyer. The next morning I took a sick day from work. Marcus left at his usual time, 7:30 a.m., kissing me goodbye with the same casual affection he'd shown for 3 years. I waited until his car pulled out of the parking garage, then I grabbed my laptop and the encrypted drive containing all the evidence. My first call was to Diane. "I need a lawyer," I said without preamble. "The best divorce lawyer in Seattle, someone ruthless." "Oh my God, what happened?" Diane's voice shifted from sleepy to alert instantly. "You were right about Marcus. You were right about everything." "I'm coming over." "No, not here. Meet me at that coffee shop on Pine Street. 1 hour." I couldn't stay in the condo. Every corner reminded me of my stupidity, my willful blindness, the bedroom where he'd lied to me every single night, the kitchen where we'd planned fake futures, the couch where we'd watched movies while he texted his other wife. At the coffee shop, I showed Diane everything on my laptop. I watched her face transform from concern to horror to pure rage. "That motherfucker," she whispered, her hands clenched into fists. "That absolute piece of shit. He has 2 kids. Sophia is 7, Ethan is 5. The names tasted bitter in my mouth. "They call him Daddy." "How long?" 4 years. He married her 7 months after he married me. Diane was silent for a long moment, processing. Then, "Okay. My cousin is a family law attorney. She's a shark. She doesn't lose." Within 2 hours, I was sitting in the office of Catherine Wu, Esquire. Catherine was in her 40s, immaculately dressed, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. I laid out my evidence, every screenshot, every bank statement, every photo. Catherine went very still as she reviewed the documents. When she finally looked up, her expression was ice cold. "Mrs. Chen, what your husband has done is criminal. This isn't just adultery, this is bigamy, fraud, and financial malfeasance. We're not just talking about a divorce here, we're talking about potential jail time for him." "I want him destroyed," I said, my voice flat. "Legally, financially, professionally. I want him to lose everything." "You're in luck. Washington is a community property state, but when one spouse has been systematically defrauding the other, the courts take a very dim view of it. Every penny he spent on his second family came from marital assets. That's theft. And the bigamy charge? That's a felony." "What do we do first?" "First, we document everything. You've done excellent work gathering evidence, but we need more. We need to verify the marriage certificate with Lauren. We need to confirm when he bought the Portland house and where the money came from. We need witnesses. And most importantly, we need to do all of this before he has any idea what's coming. He doesn't suspect anything. I've been acting completely normal." "Good. Keep doing that. Can you access any joint bank accounts?" "We kept our finances separate, but I have login information for our joint account, the one he said was for emergencies." I pulled up my banking app. The account showed a balance of $43,000. "He's been pulling money from here." Catherine made notes. "Pull half immediately. It's your legal right, and we need to secure assets before he tries to hide more." "Does he have retirement accounts?" "Yes, 401k through his company." "That's community property. We'll be going after that too. His salary, his stock options, everything." The plan took shape over the next hour. Catherine would hire a private investigator to verify everything. Confirm. The Portland residents, document Marcus coming and going, potentially interview neighbors. She would request the marriage certificate between Marcus and Lauren. She would subpoena bank records showing the full scope of his financial duplicity. "This is going to get ugly," Catherine warned. "Men like your husband don't go down without a fight, especially when they're looking at criminal charges." "I don't care how ugly it gets," I said. "I want justice." Over the next week, I lived a double life of my own. During the day, I continued working, attending meetings, acting normal. In the evenings, I smiled at Marcus, cooked dinner with him, pretended everything was fine. At night, after he fell asleep, I pored over financial records, finding more evidence. I discovered he'd opened credit cards in his name that I'd never known about, racking up $60,000 in debt, probably for his other family. I found emails to Lauren discussing selling our Seattle condo and buying something bigger in Portland where we can all be together. I found text messages where he called me his Seattle obligation and referred to Lauren as his real wife. The private investigator Catherine hired worked fast. Within 4 days, he'd confirmed everything. He'd photographed Marcus entering the Portland house with a suitcase. He'd interviewed neighbors who confirmed Marcus and Lauren Chen had lived there for 4 years with their 2 children. He'd pulled the marriage certificate Marcus and Lauren had filed for a marriage license 7 months after my wedding in Oregon. One particularly damaging piece of evidence: the PI photographed Marcus at Sophia's school, attending a parent-teacher conference with Lauren, listed on the school paperwork as Father Marcus Chen. He's been using his vacation time and business trips to live his other life, Catherine said. And here's the smoking gun. Oregon marriage records show he listed himself as unmarried on the marriage license application. That's marriage fraud. That's perjury. Can we use this? Can we use it? We're going to bury him with it. The private investigator, a former police detective named Robert Moss, provided the detail that cracked everything wide open. "I interviewed the neighbors," Robert reported during our next meeting. "The couple next door, the Johnsons, have lived there for 6 years. They said Marcus told everyone he travels for work, that he works in tech, and is gone frequently. Lauren told them he works internationally. To them, Marcus is a devoted father who's just busy with his career." "Did you tell them the truth?" I asked. "No, not yet. But here's where it gets interesting. The Johnsons mentioned that Lauren has been having health issues. She was diagnosed with breast cancer 8 months ago." My stomach dropped. Cancer. "She's undergoing treatment. Marcus has been taking her to appointments according to the medical records we were able to obtain. He's listed as her spouse and emergency contact." A wave of complicated emotion washed over me. Part of me wanted to hate Lauren, the other woman, but she was sick. She had 2 young children. And unlike me, she might not even know about the lie. "Does Lauren know about me?" I asked. Robert shook his head. "No indication that she does. Based on everything we've gathered, Lauren believes Marcus is her husband. She has no idea he's married to someone else. She's a victim here, too." That changed things. I wasn't just dealing with a cheating husband and his mistress. I was dealing with a man who'd deceived 2 women, created 2 families, and built an entire architecture of lies. Catherine leaned forward. "This is actually better for us legally. It shows a pattern of fraud and deception. Marcus isn't just a cheater, he's a con artist." "I want to talk to her," I said suddenly. "Absolutely not." Catherine's response was immediate. "You cannot contact Lauren. It could jeopardize everything. She's going to be a witness in your case. Any contact could be construed as intimidation or manipulation. But she deserves to know. She will know. When we serve Marcus with divorce papers, when we file the criminal complaint, she'll find out. But it has to happen through the proper legal channels. I understand you want to help her, but the best way to help her is to let us handle this correctly." I hated it, but I knew Catherine was right. The deeper we dug, the worse it got. Marcus had been siphoning money systematically. The $8,000 monthly transfers to Lauren were just the beginning. He'd also taken out a $50,000 personal loan, claiming it was for home renovations to our condo, which never happened, and used it for the down payment on the Portland house. Forged my signature on a refinance of our mortgage, pulling $80,000 in equity, opened a joint credit card with Lauren, charging $60,000 in expenses, established a college fund for Sophia and Ethan using money from our joint savings. In total, Marcus had diverted or stolen approximately $400,000 of marital assets over 4 years. "How did I not see this?" I asked Catherine, my voice breaking. "You weren't looking for it. You trusted your husband. That's normal. What he did, this level of deception, it takes planning, intelligence, and a complete lack of conscience. You're not stupid for trusting him. He's a sociopath for exploiting that trust." One evening, I was looking through more of Marcus's hidden photos when I found something that made my blood run cold. A photo of a handwritten note dated 3 weeks ago. If anything happens to me, everything goes to Lauren and the kids. Seattle situation is temporary. Once the IPO happens and I can cash out my stock, I'll file for divorce and move to Portland permanently. Just need to hang on a bit longer. He'd been planning to leave me all along. He was just waiting until my company went public, until my stock options were worth millions, so he could take half in the divorce and build his real life. With his real family. I was never a wife to him. I was an investment, a financial strategy. If this story is making your blood boil like mine was, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. Trust me, the revenge gets so much better. Your support means everything to this channel. The call that changed everything came on a Tuesday morning. I was at work, sitting in a strategy meeting, when my phone vibrated with an unfamiliar Oregon number. I normally wouldn't have answered during a meeting, but something made me step out into the hallway. Hello? Is this Maya Chen? A woman's voice, shaking and angry. My whole body went cold. Yes. Who is this? This is Lauren Chen. I think we need to talk about our husband. The world tilted. She knew. Somehow she'd found out. How did you? I found your wedding photos on his cloud storage. Lauren's voice cracked. I saw the date. He married you first, before me, which means my marriage isn't real, which means my children are bastards, which means I've been living a lie for 4 years. I slid down the wall in the hallway, my legs giving out. Lauren, I didn't know about you until a week ago. I swear, I found out the same way you did. There was silence on the other end then. He told me he was divorced. He told me his ex-wife was in Taiwan. He said that's why he traveled so much. International business. I never questioned it because I was so stupid in love with him and... Her voice broke into sobs. I felt my own tears start. 2 women, both deceived, both broken by the same man. Where are you right now? I asked. Portland, at home. He's not here. He left this morning for Seattle. He said he'd be gone for 4 days. Business. Except now I know what his business is. It's you. You're his business. Can you come to Seattle? Can we meet? I have to. I need to see you. I need to understand what the hell my life has been. There's a coffee shop called Blue Moon on Broadway. Can you be there in 3 hours? I'll be there. I immediately called Catherine. Lauren knows. She found out she's coming to Seattle. Shit! Do not meet with her alone. I'm coming with you. 3 hours later, I sat in a corner booth at Blue Moon Cafe, Catherine beside me, watching the door. When Lauren walked in, my heart stopped. She looked like me, not identical, but similar enough that I immediately understood. Similar height, similar build, long dark hair, Asian features. Marcus had a type. Or more accurately, he had a strategy. Marry women who looked enough alike that he could explain away any slip-ups. Lauren was pale, thin, the cancer treatment, I realized, with dark circles under her eyes. She looked exhausted and devastated. We stared at each other for a long moment. Then she sat down. You look like me, she said flatly. I was just thinking the same thing. Catherine introduced herself. I'm Maya's attorney. Before we talk, I need to establish some parameters. Anything said here could potentially be used in legal proceedings. I don't care, Lauren said. I want that bastard to pay for what he's done to both of us. For the next 2 hours, we compared notes. Lauren's story was heartbreaking. She'd met Marcus 4 years ago at a work conference. The same way I'd met him. He'd pursued her intensely, swept her off her feet. He'd told her he was recently divorced, that his ex-wife lived in Asia, that he was ready to start over. They'd moved fast. She got pregnant with Sophia within 6 months. He insisted we get married before the baby came. He said he wanted to do things right, be a good father. I was so happy. Did he ever mention me? I asked. Never. He said his ex-wife was bitter, that she'd tried to ruin his career, that he'd left Seattle to start fresh in Portland. I believed every word. The parallels were sickening. He'd told me he had no family. He'd told her he'd escaped a toxic marriage, both lies constructed to keep his 2 lives separate. How often was he with you? Catherine asked. 2 weeks a month, usually, sometimes 3. He said he had to travel to Asia for work, long international trips. He'd be gone for a week or 2, then back for 2 weeks. The kids and I adjusted. It wasn't ideal, but I thought he was providing for us. I felt sick. When Marcus told me he was in Portland for business, he was with Lauren and the kids. When he told Lauren he was in Asia, he was with me in Seattle. He paid for everything, Lauren continued. The house, the cars, the kids' school. I work part-time as a graphic designer, but my income is small. We relied on him. And then 8 months ago, I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. I'm so sorry, I said, and I meant it. He's been amazing through the treatment, driving me to appointments, taking care of the kids, researching doctors. I thought I was so lucky to have him. She laughed bitterly. Turns out he was paying for it all with stolen money. Your money. Catherine pulled out a folder. Lauren, Maya has documentation showing that Marcus has diverted approximately $400,000 of marital assets over the past 4 years. Money that legally belonged to Maya was used to finance your life. I'm not saying this to attack you. You're a victim here too. But legally, that's fraud. Lauren's face crumpled. Oh my God, the house, the mortgage, it's all fraud. Yes, and your marriage to Marcus isn't legally valid because he was already married to Maya. In the eyes of the law, you're not married. What about my kids? Are they illegitimate? No, Catherine said firmly. They're his legal children regardless of the marriage status. They have rights to child support, inheritance, everything. But your marriage certificate is void. Lauren looked at me, her eyes red. Do you hate me? No, I said, and I realized it was true. You didn't know. You're sick and dealing with cancer and raising 2 kids. He used both of us. He's the monster, not you. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Lauren said, I want to help you destroy him. Whatever you need, whatever evidence I have, it's yours. Catherine smiled grimly. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. Over the next week, Lauren and I built our case with Catherine's guidance. Despite being from different parts of Marcus's life, we worked together with a singular focus. Make him pay for every lie. Lauren provided copies of their marriage certificate, mortgage documents, and bank statements showing Marcus's transfers. She gave us photos of Marcus with the children, attendance records from school events, medical bills from her cancer treatment with Marcus listed as spouse. Most damningly, she provided text messages where Marcus discussed me. Marcus, the Seattle situation is temporary. Once her company IPOs, I'll cash out and we can finally be together full time. Lauren, I can't wait. The kids miss you so much when you're gone. Marcus, I miss them too. Just a little longer, baby. Then we'll have everything we need. He was waiting for me to be worth more money, I said, reading the texts in Catherine's office. That's all I ever was to him. Men like Marcus view people as assets, Catherine said. You were the tech executive with stock options. Lauren was the devoted mother who gave him a family. He kept both of you because both served a purpose. What's our play? Lauren asked. She'd driven up from Portland and was staying with Diane. The two of them had formed an unexpected alliance. Catherine laid out folders on her desk. We have 2 strategies we can pursue. Criminal charges for bigamy and fraud, or we focus on the civil case, the divorce and asset recovery. The criminal case would take longer and might not result in jail time. The civil case we can execute quickly and devastate him financially. Can we do both? I asked. Yes, we file for divorce immediately and serve him publicly. Simultaneously, we file a criminal complaint for bigamy and fraud. The bigamy charge in Washington carries up to 5 years in prison. The fraud charge could add another 3 to 5 years. Do it, Lauren and I said in unison. There's one more element we should consider, Catherine continued. Your company, Maya. When does the IPO happen? 3 months, October 15th. And your projected stock value? Approximately $4.2 million after taxes. Catherine smiled coldly. Perfect. That's community property. Normally, Marcus would be entitled to half. But given his fraud, we're going to ask the court to award you 100% of your stock value, plus reimbursement for every penny he stole, plus punitive damages. How much are we talking total? Lauren asked. Conservative estimate, we'll be asking for $5 million in total awards. And Marcus will owe back child support to Lauren for Sophia and Ethan approximately $200,000. The plan crystallized. We would serve Marcus in the most public, humiliating way possible. Not privately at home where he could control the narrative, but in front of everyone he'd lied to. Marcus's company was holding a major product launch event in 2 weeks, a high-profile affair with press coverage, industry leaders, and all employees. Marcus was presenting. He told me about it weeks ago, excited about the visibility. He'd told Lauren he had to travel to Tokyo for 2 weeks and would miss it. We serve him there, Catherine said. In front of his colleagues, his bosses, the press. We have him served with both the divorce papers and the criminal complaint simultaneously. Complete public humiliation. Won't that alert him beforehand? I asked. Not if we time it right. We have the process server wait until he's on stage. He'll be trapped, cameras rolling, nowhere to run. I thought about Marcus's face, that smug, confident expression he wore when he thought he was winning. I wanted to see it shatter. "Do it," I said. In the meantime, I continued playing the devoted wife. Marcus suspected nothing. He came home each evening, kissed me, asked about my day. Some nights he held me while we watched TV, his fingers running through my hair. "I love you," he'd say. "I love you too," I'd lie back. Those 2 weeks were the hardest of my life. Maintaining the facade while knowing what was coming required every ounce of self-control I had. But I did it because I knew the payoff would be worth it. Lauren faced her own challenge. She had to act normal during Marcus's scheduled visits to Portland, pretending she didn't know he was returning to Seattle, to me, between visits. "He's coming this weekend," she texted me. "I have to smile and let him hug the kids and act like he's father of the year. I don't know if I can do it." "You can," I texted back. "Think about the moment he realizes we both know. That moment will make all of this worth it." During his Portland visit, Lauren wore a recording device Catherine had provided. She captured hours of Marcus talking about work travel, discussing international clients, lying effortlessly to her and his children. On Sunday night, he kissed Sophia and Ethan goodnight, told Lauren he loved her, and drove back to Seattle, to me. He walked into our condo at 11 p.m. with his suitcase. "How was Portland?" I asked, looking up from my laptop. "Exhausting. Client meetings all weekend, but productive." He dropped his bag and wrapped his arms around me. "Missed you." I forced myself not to flinch. "Missed you too." That night, lying next to him in the dark, I thought about Lauren lying alone in Portland, going through cancer treatment, believing her husband was in Asia. I thought about Sophia and Ethan, who loved their daddy and had no idea he was living a lie. I thought about the version of myself from a month ago who trusted this man completely, and I felt my remaining sympathy for Marcus evaporate. He deserved everything that was coming. The day of the product launch was crisp and clear, perfect fall weather in Seattle. Marcus left early that morning, too excited to eat breakfast. He was dressed in his best suit, rehearsing his presentation in front of the mirror. "This could be huge for my career," he said, straightening his tie. "If I nail this, I could be looking at a VP position." "You'll be amazing," I said, kissing his cheek. "You're not coming?" He'd invited me weeks ago. "I have a board meeting I can't miss, but I'll be thinking of you." Another lie. I would be there, just not where he expected. Lauren had driven up from Portland the night before. Catherine had booked us a hotel room near the venue. At 2 p.m., 2 hours before Marcus's presentation, we met there with Catherine, Diane, and Robert, the PI. "Everyone clear on the plan?" Catherine asked. We nodded. I was nervous, my hands shaking. Lauren looked pale but determined. "The process server will enter at exactly 4:15 p.m., 15 minutes into Marcus's presentation. He'll walk directly to the stage and serve Marcus with both the divorce filing and the criminal complaint. The cameras will capture everything." "What if he runs?" Lauren asked. "He won't. There will be 2 police detectives in the audience waiting for exactly that. If he tries to flee or create a scene, they'll detain him." At 3:30 p.m., we entered the venue separately. It was a large hotel conference center, packed with hundreds of people. Marcus's company had spared no expense. Professional lighting, giant screens, a stage setup that looked like a tech keynote. Lauren and I sat in the back wearing sunglasses and baseball caps. Robert sat several rows ahead of us, filming everything. At 4 p.m., the lights dimmed. Marcus's boss walked on stage and introduced him to enthusiastic applause. Then Marcus appeared, confident and smiling, and began his presentation. I watched him speak, commanding the room, completely in his element. This was his moment of glory, his career highlight. In 15 minutes, it would all be over. He was mid-sentence, talking about market disruption and innovation curves, when the conference center doors opened. A man in a suit walked briskly down the center aisle. Marcus noticed him but continued speaking. "And that's why we believe this product will..." The process server stepped onto the stage and walked directly to Marcus. "Marcus Chen?" Marcus faltered. Yes. Can this wait?" "You've been served." The man thrust 2 thick envelopes into Marcus's hands. Divorce proceedings filed by Maya Chen and a criminal complaint filed by the King County Prosecutor's Office for bigamy and fraud. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, the hum of hundreds of people reacting simultaneously. Marcus stood frozen, holding the envelopes. His face went through a rapid evolution of emotions. confusion, shock, panic, and then understanding as he saw me and Lauren stand up in the back of the room, our eyes locked across the crowded conference center. "Maya," he said into the microphone, his voice carrying to everyone. What is this?" I pulled off my sunglasses. Lauren pulled off hers. "It's the truth," I called out. My voice shook but carried. "Ladies and gentlemen, the man on that stage is a bigamist. He's married to me, and he's married to her." I pointed to Lauren. "He has 2 families, 2 wives, 2 homes, and he's been defrauding both of us for 4 years." The room exploded with shocked exclamations. Reporters in the front row immediately began snapping photos. Marcus's colleagues turned to stare at him. Marcus backed away from the microphone, shaking his head. No, this is... Maya, this is crazy. You've lost your mind." "Have I?" I pulled out my phone and connected to the venue's display system. Catherine had prepared this in advance. The large screens behind Marcus suddenly filled with images. His wedding photo with me, his wedding photo with Lauren, bank statements showing the transfers, screenshots of texts where he called me his Seattle obligation, photos of him with Sophia and Ethan. The crowd went silent, staring at the damning evidence. "Oh my God," someone whispered. Marcus's boss stood up. "Marcus, is this true?" Marcus looked around wildly like a trapped animal. "I can explain. It's complicated. I'm his legal wife," I said, my voice steady now. "Married in King County, Washington 3 years ago. Our marriage license is in the divorce filing." "I'm his other wife," Lauren said, her voice stronger than I expected. "Married in Portland, Oregon, 7 months after Maya. He told me he was divorced. He told me his ex-wife lived in Taiwan. He lied to both of us." 2 men in suits stood up from the 3rd row, the detectives Catherine had arranged. "Mr. Chen, we're going to need you to come with us," one of them said. "We have questions regarding the criminal complaint," Marcus finally snapped. He dropped the envelopes and backed away from the edge of the stage. "This is insane! You're all insane! I'm not going anywhere!" "Sir, don't make this harder than it needs to be." Marcus looked at me one more time. The expression on his face was pure hatred. "You bitch! You vindictive bitch! You're going to destroy everything I've worked for." "No," I said calmly. "You destroyed it. You destroyed everything the moment you decided to build your life on lies." The detectives approached the stage. Marcus actually tried to run. He jumped off the side of the stage and pushed through the crowd toward the exit. But security blocked the doors, and within seconds, the detectives had caught up with him. They didn't handcuff him there. Catherine had asked them not to, said it was enough to escort him out for questioning. But the optics were clear. Marcus Chen was being led out of his own career-defining event by police, in front of hundreds of witnesses and multiple cameras. As they walked him past where Lauren and I stood, he stopped. "I loved you both," he said, his voice breaking. "I did. You have to believe me." "You loved the idea of us," Lauren said. "You loved what we could give you, but you never loved us. You're not capable of it." They led him away. The video went viral within hours. Someone in the audience had live-streamed the entire confrontation. By that evening, Seattle Tech executive exposed as bigamist was trending on social media. Marcus's company issued a statement the next morning. "Marcus Chen has been terminated, effective immediately. His actions do not reflect the values of our organization. His professional reputation was destroyed overnight. LinkedIn profile deleted, industry colleagues publicly distancing themselves, headlines everywhere." But the legal destruction was just beginning. Marcus hired an expensive lawyer, which he paid for by maxing out his remaining credit cards, who tried to fight everything. He claimed I'd known about Lauren all along. He claimed the Portland house was purchased before our marriage, disproven by records. He tried to argue that he'd been planning to divorce me and that Lauren was his real wife. Nothing worked. The criminal case moved faster than expected. The evidence was overwhelming. Marcus had committed bigamy, which in Washington state is a felony. He'd also committed fraud, forging my signature on financial documents, diverting marital assets. The prosecutor offered him a plea deal. Plead guilty, serve 18 months in minimum security, pay restitution. Marcus refused. He insisted on going to trial. "Let him," Catherine said. "He'll lose, and the sentence will be harsher." The divorce proceedings were equally brutal. Catherine presented evidence of every dollar Marcus had stolen. The judge was a middle-aged woman who looked increasingly disgusted as the evidence mounted. Marcus's lawyer tried to argue that Lauren and the children deserved part of the assets. "They're innocent victims. The children need support." "They do," Catherine agreed. which is why Mr. Chen will be paying child support for both children retroactively, but the assets he stole from Ms. Chen must be returned to her. Lauren was an unwitting victim of Marcus's fraud. She doesn't owe restitution, but Marcus does. The judge agreed. The ruling came down 6 weeks after the divorce was filed. Our marriage was annulled, not divorced, annulled, meaning it was declared invalid due to fraud. I was awarded 100% of my stock options and future IPO proceeds. Marcus was ordered to pay me $412,000 in restitution for stolen marital assets. Marcus was ordered to pay $180,000 in retroactive child support to Lauren for Sophia and Ethan. Marcus would pay ongoing child support of $3,000 a month per child. The Portland house would be transferred to Lauren's name, with Marcus responsible for the remaining mortgage. Marcus was prohibited from contacting me directly. All joint accounts, credit cards, and assets were awarded to me. The criminal trial was short. The evidence was damning. Marcus took the stand in his own defense and attempted to paint himself as a victim of his own love. I loved both of them. I couldn't choose. I made mistakes, but they were born of affection. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 4 years in state prison with eligibility for parole after 2 years. As they led him away, Marcus looked at me one last time, no more hatred in his eyes, just empty defeat. 3 months after Marcus was sentenced, my company went public. The IPO was massively successful. My stock options ended up being worth $5.8 million. Marcus was in prison. He would get none of it. I paid off my student loans, my parents' mortgage, and put money aside for Sophia and Ethan's college funds. Catherine structured it through a trust, so Marcus couldn't touch it. Lauren and I had become unlikely friends. We met for coffee every few weeks. She was finishing her cancer treatment, and the prognosis was good. With the house paid off and child support coming in, she could focus on healing and raising her kids. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story gave you the justice you needed to see, check out the other videos on screen. They're just as satisfying. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? See you in the next story. I don't hate you, she said during one of our coffee dates. I used to think I might, but you're a victim in this just like me. Same, I said. We both love the same person. Except that person didn't exist. What will you tell Sophia and Ethan when they're older? Lauren had told them their daddy had to go away for work. They were too young to understand prison. The truth, she said, that their father made choices that hurt people, and choices have consequences, but that he's still their father, and they can have a relationship with him if they want. I won't poison them against him. You're kinder than I would be. I'm trying to be, for them. She paused. Have you thought about dating again? Not yet. Maybe not for a long time. I trusted Marcus completely, and he destroyed that trust. I'm not sure I can give that to someone again. I get it. Me too. Marcus sent me a letter from prison. I almost threw it away, but curiosity got the better of me. Maya, I know you hate me. I know you think I'm a monster. Maybe I am. But I want you to know that I did love you. In my way, I loved both of you. I just wanted everything. The successful tech wife, the family with kids, the respect, the money. I thought I could have it all if I was smart enough. I was wrong. I lost everything. My career, my freedom, both of you, my kids. I deserve this punishment. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that despite everything, the time with you wasn't fake. Some of it was real. Marcus, I read it once, then burned it. It didn't matter if some of it was real. The foundation was lies, and you can't build anything lasting on lies. A year after everything exploded, I was living a completely different life. I'd left my old company after the IPO and started my own tech consultancy. Smaller, more flexible, fully remote. I was done with the startup grind, done with prioritizing career over everything else. I bought a house in the suburbs with a big backyard. Got a dog, a golden retriever named Copper. Spent my weekends hiking, reading, reconnecting with friends I'd neglected during my marriage. Diane and I were closer than ever. I should have pushed harder when I told you something was off, she said. You told me. I didn't listen. That's on me, not you. Still, if I'd... Stop. You were a good friend then, and you're a good friend now. That's all that matters. I even started therapy. Dr. Sarah Brennan specialized in trauma and betrayal. She helped me process not just what Marcus had done, but my own feelings of stupidity and shame. You weren't stupid, she said during one session. You were trusting. Those are different things. The problem isn't that you trusted. The problem is that he exploited that trust. I feel like I should have seen the signs. He was a skilled manipulator. He created an entire false reality. That takes planning and sociopathic tendencies. Normal people don't think that way, so they don't see it coming. Will I ever be able to trust someone again? Yes, but it takes time and work, and it takes meeting someone worthy of that trust. I wasn't there yet. Maybe I wouldn't be for a long time, but I was healing. Lauren and I stayed in touch. She'd started dating someone, a divorced father of two she'd met through the kids' school. He knew her whole story and didn't care. He's kind, she said. After Marcus, kind feels like a revelation. Sophia and Ethan were thriving. Marcus was allowed supervised visits once a month, which Lauren facilitated. She never spoke badly about him to the kids, though she made sure they understood why Daddy was away. One day, Sophia asked me, "Are you the other lady Daddy married?" Kids are perceptive. Lauren had brought them to Seattle for a visit. "Yes," I said. I knelt down so I was at her eye level. "But your daddy made some choices that weren't honest, and he hurt a lot of people. Your mom and I became friends because of that." "Mommy says you helped us keep our house." I tried to help however I could. "Thank you." Sophia hugged me, and I felt tears sting my eyes. These children had done nothing wrong. They deserve stability and love despite their father's choices. Marcus will be released from prison in another year. He'll have supervised parole, restricted job prospects, and a permanent felony record. His tech career is over, his reputation destroyed. Sometimes I wonder if he thinks about everything he lost, if he lies in his cell and realizes the magnitude of his choices. I hope he does. Marcus, if you're reading this somehow, I want you to know I don't hate you anymore. Hate requires caring, and I don't care about you. You're not important enough to hate. What you did to me, to Lauren, to your children, it was monstrous. You treated us like assets to be managed, like investments in your portfolio. You never saw us as human beings with our own worth. You wanted everything, the high-powered tech wife with stock options, the domestic wife with children, the respect, the money, the picture-perfect lives. You thought you were smart enough to have it all. But you forgot something crucial. Lies have a shelf life. Eventually, the truth comes out. And when it does, everything built on those lies collapses. I'm living my best life now. I have financial security, a career I love, genuine friendships, and most importantly, my self-respect back. I know who I am. I know what I deserve. You're in prison, broke, disgraced. Your children will grow up knowing what you did. Your name is synonymous with betrayal in our industry. You'll never work in tech again. Was it worth it, Marcus? Was the thrill of the double life, the ego boost of juggling two wives, worth losing everything? I already know the answer. You lost, and we won. Lauren rebuilt her life. I rebuilt mine. We're stronger, wiser, and free. You're just alone with your choices. I don't forgive you. Forgiveness would mean what you did was forgivable, and it wasn't. But I've moved past you. You're a cautionary tale now, a story I tell to warn others about the red flags I missed. The only thanks I owe you is this. You showed me what I'm capable of. You thought I was weak, that I'd fall apart when I discovered the truth. Instead, I strategized. I gathered evidence. I built a case. I destroyed you methodically and completely. I learned that I'm stronger than I ever imagined, that I can face unimaginable betrayal and not just survive, but thrive. So thank you, Marcus. Thank you for showing me my own strength. Thank you for failing. I hope every day in that prison reminds you of what you had and what you threw away. I hope every supervised visit with your children breaks your heart a little more. I hope the weight of your choices crushes you, not out of cruelty, but because you need to understand the consequences of treating people like things. I'm done now. Done thinking about you, done giving you space in my mind. This is my final message. You're nothing to me anymore. And that's exactly what you deserve. Goodbye, Marcus Chen. Rot in the consequences you created. 2 years after Marcus's sentencing, I met someone. His name was Daniel, a professor of philosophy at the University of Washington. We met at a bookstore. I literally bumped into him reaching for the same book. "Sorry," we both said simultaneously, laughing. "You take it," he offered. "We could both read it and discuss," I suggested, surprising myself with my forwardness. He smiled. "I'd like that." We dated slowly. I told him everything on our third date, the entire story of Marcus, the betrayal, the trial. I waited for him to run. Instead, he said, "Thank you for trusting me with that. I can't imagine how hard that was to live through. I'm broken in some ways," I admitted. "I don't know if I can fully trust again." "You're not broken, you're healing. Those are different things." A year later, he proposed. I said yes, But I also insisted on a prenuptial agreement, separate finances, and complete transparency. Not because I don't trust you, I explained, but because I need to protect myself. I can't go through that again. I understand, Daniel said. Whatever makes you feel safe. And he meant it. On our wedding day, Lauren and Diane were both there. Lauren brought Sophia and Ethan, who were now 9 and 7. They'd asked to attend. As I stood at the altar looking at Daniel, I thought about the version of myself who'd stood in a different venue 3 years earlier, marrying Marcus. That woman had been naive, trusting completely. I wasn't that woman anymore. I was wiser, more cautious, battle-scarred but unbroken. I do, I said, and this time I knew exactly who I was marrying. The truth will always win. It might take time, it might require patience and strategy, but eventually lies collapse under their own weight. I survived. I rebuilt. I won. 3 years after Marcus Chen walked into that prison, I received a letter from the Washington State Department of Corrections. Marcus was being released on parole, 2 weeks early for good behavior. I sat in my home office, Daniel working quietly at his desk across the room, and stared at the official notification. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. I felt nothing but a distant curiosity about what this man who destroyed my life 3 years ago looked like now. "You okay?" Daniel asked, noticing my silence. "Marcus is getting out," I said, showing him the letter. Daniel set down his papers and came to sit beside me. "How do you feel about that?" "I don't know. Empty? Indifferent?" I looked up at him. "Is that wrong? Shouldn't I feel something?" "You feel exactly what you're supposed to feel. He's not your problem anymore." But that wasn't entirely true, because buried in the notification letter was another detail. Marcus had requested a meeting with me as part of his restorative justice program. The prison counselor explained that offenders sometimes seek closure with their victims before reintegrating into society. "You have every right to refuse," the counselor said when I called. "This is entirely optional. He cannot contact you without your explicit permission." I should have said no. Catherine, when I told her, was adamant that I refused. "Maya, you owe him nothing. Not a conversation, not closure, nothing. He destroyed 3 years of your life. Don't give him another second." But I found myself saying yes. Not for him. For me. I wanted to see what he'd become. I wanted him to see what I'd become. I wanted to look him in the eyes and confirm that he no longer had any power over me. Lauren, when I told her, understood immediately. "I think I need to be there too," she said. "Not in the room, but nearby. We face this together. We should end it together." 2 weeks later, I walked into a small conference room at a community reintegration center in South Seattle. Daniel and Lauren waited in the lobby. Catherine sat beside me, legal pad ready, recorder on the table. "You have 45 minutes, the facilitator explained. "Mr. Chen understands this is a voluntary meeting and that you can end it at any time. Are you ready?" I nodded. The door opened and Marcus walked in. Prison had aged him. He was thinner, grayer, with new lines etched deep around his eyes and mouth. He wore civilian clothes, khakis and a plain button-down shirt, but moved with the cautious shuffle of someone not yet accustomed to freedom. When he saw me, his face crumpled. "Maya," he said, his voice hoarse. "Marcus." My voice was steady, clinical. "Sit down." He sat across from me, the facilitator positioned neutrally between us. His hands were folded on the table, and I noticed the wedding ring was gone. Of course it was. That marriage had been annulled, erased as if it never existed. "Thank you for coming," he began. "I wasn't sure you would." I almost didn't. I've spent 4 years thinking about what I'd say to you if I ever got this chance. I had whole speeches prepared. But now that you're here, I don't know where to start." "Start with the truth," I said. "That's something you were never good at." He flinched. "Fair. I deserve that. I deserve worse than that." He took a shaky breath. "The prison counselor says I need to take accountability, that I can't move forward until I face what I did. So here it is. I destroyed you. I destroyed Lauren. I traumatized my children. I did it all knowingly, deliberately, and I did it because I was selfish and narcissistic and believed I was entitled to everything I wanted." "Keep going," Catherine said coldly. "I lied to you every single day for 3 years. I used you for your income and your stock options. I kept you around until you were worth enough to make divorcing you profitable. I never loved you the way you deserved to be loved. You were an asset to me, not a person. And I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. Nothing I say will ever be enough. But I am sorry." I studied his face, looking for signs of manipulation, of the calculated charm he'd once wielded so expertly. I saw only exhaustion and shame. Why? I asked. That's what I could never understand. You had me. If you wanted a family, we could have had children. If you wanted to live in Portland, we could have moved. Why create this elaborate lie? Because I wanted everything without having to choose. You were the successful tech executive who could fund the lifestyle I wanted. Lauren was the devoted mother who gave me the family I wanted. I thought I was smart enough to have both. I thought I deserved both. And now I have nothing. My career is gone. My reputation is destroyed. My children barely speak to me. Lauren won't even look at me during supervised visits. I lost everything, and it's my own fault. Yes, I said simply. It is. We sat in silence for a moment, then Marcus asked, Are you happy? Did you find happiness after me? Why do you want to know? Because if you did, then maybe some good came out of this nightmare. If you rebuilt your life and found real love, then at least my destruction had meaning. Please tell me I didn't ruin you completely. I looked at him, this broken man who'd once held such power over my life, and realized he wanted absolution. He wanted me to tell him that my happiness somehow redeemed his crimes, that his suffering had balanced the scales. I wouldn't give him that. I did rebuild my life, I said carefully. I'm married to someone kind and honest. I have a career I love. I have financial security and genuine friendships. But none of that happened because of you. It happened in spite of you. You tried to break me, and you failed. That's not redemption for you. That's victory for me. Marcus's face crumpled further. I know. You're right. I needed to hear that you're okay, that I didn't destroy you completely. You don't get that comfort, Catherine interjected sharply. You don't get to feel better because Maya survived your abuse. Her survival isn't for you, it's for her. I know, Marcus whispered. I know. What do you want from this meeting, Marcus? I asked. What are you hoping to accomplish? Honestly, I don't know. The counselor said it would help with my reintegration, that facing my victims would help me understand the impact of my actions. But sitting here, looking at you, I realize there's nothing I can say that will make any of this better. I destroyed your life for 4 years. You destroyed mine in return. Maybe that's justice. It is justice, I said. But it's not equal. I didn't destroy your life because I wanted to hurt you. I destroyed your life because you committed crimes. There's a difference. There is, he agreed. You're right. I leaned forward. Do you understand what you took from me? Not just the money or the time. You took my ability to trust. You made me question every relationship, every kindness, every moment of intimacy. You turned 3 years of my life into a lie. Even now, married to a good man, I sometimes wake up at night wondering if he's lying to me. That's your legacy, Marcus. Not the prison time, not the lost career, the permanent damage to my ability to believe in people. Tears streamed down Marcus's face. I'm so sorry. God, Maya, I'm so sorry. I don't forgive you, I said clearly. I want you to understand that. You sitting here crying doesn't change anything. You being sorry doesn't erase the harm. I came here today to look you in the eyes and confirm that you no longer have any power over me. That's all this is. I understand. Do you? Because part of me thinks you're sitting here hoping for a redemption arc, hoping that if you grovel enough, if you cry enough, I'll somehow absolve you. But I won't. You don't get absolution from me. You have to live with what you did. Marcus wiped his eyes with shaking hands. What do you want me to do? How do I make any of this right? You can't, I said flatly. There's no making this right. But if you want to do something useful, be a real father to Sophia and Ethan. Stop treating your supervised visits like an obligation and start actually showing up for them emotionally. Pay your child support on time every month for the rest of your life. Get therapy for the narcissism that made you think you were entitled to 2 families. And never, ever contact me again after today. I won't, he said. I promise. After today, you'll never hear from me again. Good. The facilitator checked her watch. We have 15 minutes remaining. Is there anything else either of you needs to address? I thought about it. There were so many things I could say, so many ways I could detail the pain he'd caused, the nights I'd cried myself to sleep, the therapy sessions, the moments of crippling self-doubt. But I realized I didn't want to give him those pieces of me. He'd taken enough. No, I said. I think we're done here. Marcus nodded. Maya, one last thing. I know you won't believe me, but some of it was real. Not the structure, not the lies, but some of the moments between us. The Sunday mornings, the conversations, the quiet times. Those were real for me. I know that doesn't matter to you, but I wanted you to know. You're right, I said, standing up. It doesn't matter, because even if those moments were real for you, they were built on a foundation of lies, and nothing built on lies can stand. I walked to the door, Catherine gathering her materials behind me. At the threshold, I turned back. Goodbye, Marcus. I hope you become a better person. Not for me, I don't care, but for your children. They deserve a father who tells the truth. I walked out without waiting for his response. The final goodbye. In the lobby, Lauren stood up immediately when she saw me. How was it? Closure, I said simply. Good closure or bad closure? Just closure. He's sorry, he's broken, and it doesn't change anything. Do you want to talk about it? Not really. I want to go home, have dinner with my husband, and move forward with my life. Lauren hugged me. You're so strong. You know that, right? I'm not strong. I'm just done. There's a difference. Whatever it is, I'm proud of you. Daniel drove us home in silence, respecting my need to process. When we got back to our house, the one with the big backyard and the golden retriever, I sat on the back porch and watched the sunset. Daniel brought me tea without asking, sitting beside me quietly. You want to talk? He asked after a while. He apologized. He cried. He wanted absolution. Did you give it to him? No. I told him I hope he becomes a better father to his kids, but that he gets nothing from me. Not forgiveness, not absolution, nothing. How do you feel? Free, I said, and realized it was true. I feel free. I went into that room with this tiny, nagging fear that seeing him would bring everything back, that I'd feel small again, or angry or hurt. But I looked at him and felt nothing. He's just a man who made terrible choices. He's not a monster. He's not the villain in my story anymore. He's just nobody. Daniel took my hand. That's not nothing. That's everything. That night, I did something I'd been putting off for 3 years. I took out the box of items from my marriage to Marcus, the wedding photo I'd saved, our annulment papers, the divorce decree, all the legal documents from the trial. I'd kept them in a storage box in the garage, unable to throw them away, but unable to look at them either. I built a fire in our outdoor fire pit. Daniel watched as I took each document, each photo, and placed them in the flames. Are you sure? He asked. I'm sure. I don't need them anymore. They're evidence of something that's over. The papers curled and blackened, the smoke carrying away the last physical remnants of my marriage to Marcus Chen. I watched the wedding photo, that image of me in a white dress, smiling naively, believing in forever, turn to ash. Goodbye, I whispered to the flames. Thank you for the lesson, but I'm done learning from you. When the fire died down, Daniel and I went inside. He started making dinner while I checked my phone. There was a message from Lauren. Marcus called. He asked if he could see the kids more often. I said we'd discuss it at the next supervised visit review. Baby steps, but maybe he meant what he said about being a better father. I typed back. Good. Those kids deserve better, but protect yourself. Always. How are you doing? Honestly? I'm good. I'm really good. Proud of you, friend. I set down my phone and watched Daniel cook, humming to himself as he chopped vegetables. This was my life now, not the fantasy I'd had with Marcus, the high-powered tech couple with the beautiful condo and the ambitious future. This was real, imperfect, sometimes messy, but fundamentally honest. Hey, I called to Daniel. Yeah? I love you. The real, actual, honest version of you, not some fantasy, just you. He smiled, that warm, genuine smile that had made me trust again. I love you too. The real, healed, incredibly strong version of you. I'm not that strong. You are. You just don't see it yet. Maybe he was right. Maybe surviving Marcus's betrayal, rebuilding my life, and walking out of that meeting today without needing anything from him. Maybe that was strength, or maybe it was just growth. Either way, I was finally free. Epilogue. 5 years later. 5 years after the product launch that destroyed Marcus Chen's life, I stood in a conference room in San Francisco, presenting at the same tech conference where Marcus and I had first met. But this time, I wasn't presenting someone else's product. I was presenting my own company. After leaving the corporate world, I'd founded a cybersecurity firm specializing in digital privacy and identity protection. The irony wasn't lost on me. Building a company that helped people protect themselves from fraud and deception, born from my experience of being defrauded and deceived. We'd just closed a $50 million Series B funding round. The company employed 40 people. Industry publications had named me one of the top female founders in tech. As I fielded questions from the audience, I spotted a familiar face in the crowd. Lauren, sitting in the third row, smiling proudly. She'd flown down from Portland to support me, bringing Sophia and Ethan, who were now 14 and 12. After the presentation, we met for dinner at a waterfront restaurant. The kids ordered enthusiastically, teenagers now, no longer the small children who'd been casualties of their father's lies. Sophia's been accepted to a coding boot camp for high schoolers, Lauren said proudly. She wants to work in tech like her Aunt Maya. Aunt Maya? I raised an eyebrow. Sophia blushed. If that's okay, you're not technically our aunt, but you're family. You've been there for us more than... She stopped, glancing at her mother. More than your father, Lauren finished gently. It's okay to say it, honey. Maya knows. How is he? I asked, curious despite myself. He's trying, Lauren said carefully. He got a job doing IT support at a warehouse. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. He pays child support on time. He shows up for his visits and actually engages with the kids now. He's in therapy. I don't think we'll ever be friends, but he's being a responsible father. Finally. That's good. The kids deserve that. Ethan, quieter than his sister, spoke up. Dad talks about you sometimes. Not in a weird way, he added quickly. He says you taught him the most important lesson of his life. What lesson is that? That actions have consequences, and that you can't build anything real on lies. I smiled sadly. Smart kid. He learned from the best, Lauren said, raising her glass. To Maya Chen, tech founder, survivor, and the sister I never knew I needed. We clinked glasses, and I felt the last piece of the puzzle click into place. I'd spent years processing Marcus's betrayal, working through therapy, learning to trust again. But this moment, sitting with Lauren and her children, watching them thrive, knowing Marcus was trying to do better, this was the true ending. Not revenge, not victory, just closure. Real, honest, peaceful closure. When I got home that night, Daniel was waiting up. How was it? Perfect, I said, curling up next to him. Lauren's doing great. The kids are thriving. Marcus is apparently trying to be better. And how does that make you feel? Genuinely glad. Not for him, but for those kids. They deserved a father who showed up. Better late than never. That's growth, Daniel said, kissing my forehead. You've come a long way from the woman who wanted to burn his life to the ground. Oh, I still burned his life to the ground, I corrected with a small smile. But I'm glad something better grew from the ashes. For the kids, at least. As I drifted off to sleep that night, I thought about the journey, the devastation of discovery, the cold fury of gathering evidence, the satisfaction of watching Marcus's world collapse, the hard work of rebuilding my own life, and finally this, peace. Marcus Chen had tried to have everything by building a life on lies. He'd lost it all and spent years in prison paying for his crimes. I'd taken the ruins of my destroyed life and built something real. In the end, the truth won. It always does. And I was finally, completely, wholly free.